Welcome to Top 10 Archive. Hollywood may have you believe that the best course of action is to never negotiate with terrorists or kidnappers, but sometimes there just is no other way. In the case of loved ones or VIPs, sometimes there is no fee too big to guarantee their survival and safety. In this Top 10 list, we will look at the highest ransoms ever paid. Number 10. Samuel Bronfman II. On the morning of Saturday, August 9, 1975, Edgar M. Bronfman, head of the Seagram's Distillery and North American chairman of the World Jewish Congress, received a phone call from his son, Samuel Bronfman II, saying that he had been kidnapped. Initially, speculation would assume that his son's kidnapping was in direct relation to his position at the WJC, but sometimes it really is just about the money. Initially asking for $4.6 million, Bronfman's captors lowered the ransom to $2.3 million, approximately $11 million by today's standards. Edgar paid, but the money was returned shortly after New York City Police and the FBI raided a Brooklyn apartment to find Samuel and his captors, a former fireman and former limousine operator. Number 9. John R. Thompson. The People's Revolutionary Army, a branch of the Argentinian Workers' Revolutionary Party, has been responsible for many kidnappings over time. They often targeted politicians, foreign officials, and security forces to make statements of their power, but they were also known to go after heavy hitters in the trade industries. In June of 1973, they kidnapped the president and general manager of Firestone Tire and Rubber Company's Buenos Aires subsidiary, John R. Thompson, demanding a ransom equal to about $12.4 million today. The ransom was paid, adding to the plethora of money that the party had already accumulated. Number 8. John Paul Getty III. At the age of 16 in 1973, John Paul Getty III found himself in the hands of Calabrian bandits. As the grandson of the oil baron Jean Paul Getty, it can be assumed that an exorbitant amount of money could be had from his kidnapping. Ironically, Getty's capture was met with speculation and indifference. It was thought Getty faked his kidnapping to con money from his parents. That is, until his severed ear was received by a Roman newspaper. The bandits lowered the ransom from $17 million to $3 million, and Getty's grandfather was only willing to pay $2.2 million, the maximum tax-deductible amount. The rest of the money came as a loan from Getty's grandfather to his father with an interest rate of 4%. Today, Getty's release would have cost $15.9 million. Number 7. Enrique Metz. During the 1960s and 1970s, Argentina played host to the Montoneros, a leftist urban guerrilla group that was responsible for their fair share of kidnappings with high price tags. Amongst one of their scores in 1975 was Enrique Metz, the executive manager of luxury car manufacturer Mercedes-Benz. Like the People's Revolution Army, the Montoneros sought high-profile targets to guarantee high-dollar ransoms. In the case of Enrique Metz, the Montoneros walked away with $5 million, $21.9 million today. Number 6. Patty Hearst. Not every ransom paid has a happy ending. In 1974, Patty Hearst, the heiress to the Hearst media conglomerate, and her boyfriend Stephen Weed were kidnapped by the left-wing Symbionese Liberation Army. Initial demands by the SLA were that Patty's father, Randolph Hearst, distribute an exorbitant amount of food to the poor people of California. Randolph responded with a program of food distribution, People in Need, that cost $6 million or $28.7 million today to implement. Rather than release Patty, though, the SLA kept their captive, eventually turning her into one of their own. Number 5. Charles Lockwood. Talk about having bad luck. Over a span of 26 months, Charles Lockwood, a Roberts executive, found himself in the hands of the People's Revolutionary Army of Argentina. The activist already had a long list of accomplishments, but they stand to be the only group to kidnap the same person twice. In June of 1973, Charles was picked up and released after a $2 million ransom was paid. A little over 2 years later, in July of 1975, the executive was kidnapped again. This time, his ransom was increased to $10 million. A total of $12 million, or $52.9 million by today's numbers, was paid to have Lockwood released from his captors. Number 4. Victor Samuelson. In 1974, oil refinery manager Victor Samuelson fell into the hands of Argentina's infamous People's Revolutionary Army. After 98 days of holding Samuelson captive, the manager's employer, Esso Argentina, a subsidiary of the oil and gas corporation Exxon, doled out a ransom of $14.2 million after threats to execute their captive came from the PRA. At the time, the amount, which equals $68 million today, broke records as the highest ransom paid. Number 3. Walter Kwok. For a whopping $77 million in 1997, roughly $110 million by today's standard, Walter Kwok was released from the grip of a notorious Chinese gangster, Zheng Chi-kyung, also known as the Big Spender. Kwok himself held no significance, besides that he was the son of one of China's wealthiest businessmen, Kwok Tak-seng. After his kidnapping, Walter's psychological state brought him to step away from the family's company, Sung Hung Kai Properties. Speculation has it that he was ousted from the company, which led him to providing authorities with information regarding the company's more illegal dealings. Number 2. Victor Li. Much like Walter Kwok, Victor Li was the son of a wealthy businessman in China. Also like Kwok, though a year earlier, Li would find himself as a captor of notorious China gangster, the Big Spender. Beyond his father's money, Li held no specific significance to the Big Spender, but he did net the gangster a ransom of $134 million, a whopping $201 million in today's market. In 2006, Li was reported to have a net worth of $730 million. Surely, had he not been executed in 2000, the Big Spender may have taken an interest in Li once again. Number 1. Jorge and Juan Born. Chalk up another heavy haul for the Montoneros with the kidnapping of Jorge and Juan Born. The two brothers earned their own keep by grain trading in Argentina, becoming quite wealthy through their venture. The Montoneros took notice to the siblings' wealth and decided to act on September 19, 1974. The leftists killed the Born's driver and a business associate and kidnapped the two. After 9 months, the brothers were released when the Montoneros received a ransom of $60 million, or $302.8 million by today's standards, making it the largest ransom ever paid in recorded history. Like these top 10 videos? Subscribe by clicking the annotation here and give our video a like, and share the link for this video with all your friends on your favorite social media sites. Have an idea for a future top 10? Leave a comment in the section below.